We have Mack Whitcomb, who doesn't even need an introduction, but I'm gonna give one anyways. Seriously, one of the sweetest guys I have ever met, kind-hearted, determined, and wise beyond his years. Everyone please welcome Mack Whitcomb.
For those of you who don't know me, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Mack Whitcomb. I was born and raised in the south side of Chicago. For those of you who do know me, I can probably guess how you describe me. Funny, loud, smart, outgoing, personable, and maybe even caring. Now let me introduce the real me, the one that very few people know, and the one that can sometimes be difficult to accept. Hello, my name is Mack Whitcomb, and at various points in my life, I battled depression and anxiety. I know the feeling of panic that sets in when you can't quite find the light at the end of the tunnel. I understand the crushing weight of feeling as though you've let everyone down, including yourself. Take right now, for example. We are roughly 2 weeks away from graduation, and I still can't tell you where I intend to go to school next year. But I can tell you with absolute certainty that's something that I thought I would do at this point. I've never done well with the unknown. I like goals. I like accomplishing things. Achieving goals gives me a sense of purpose, without which I find it hard to be the best version of myself. So there you have it. 2 completely different stories, 2 totally different versions of the same person. The first is easy to embrace and talk about. That second version, though, that one sometimes makes it hard to look in the mirror. But on November 8th, 2021, I learned exactly why it is so important to acknowledge that version of oneself. To start, I would like to give you all a backstory. Several years ago, I changed travel baseball programs, which meant that I would have to go to meet new people, create new relationships with teammates, and overall adapt to the new program. To say I was worried about my new teammates and coaches would perceive me as an understatement. When I first arrived to the tryouts, I did not know a single soul there. But then I met Ryan. Ryan was the first kid to talk to me, and I'll never forget that day because he welcomed me and made me feel like I belonged there with those guys, those coaches, and in that new uniform. Over time, Ryan and I bonded like brothers. We were like friends. Ryan was always there right by my side. You know those legendary dynamic duos from the movies, Rocky and Apollo, Batman and Robin, Han Solo and Chewbacca? That was me and Ryan. For the first time in my life, I had found a best friend, someone I thought I'd get to sit around with one day and reminisce about the glory days while still arguing who could kick each other's rear end on the ball field. Ryan and I stayed best friends for years, all the way through the start of my junior year here at Baylor. When the summer before coming down to Baylor arrived, Ryan was extremely proud of me and told me that he was going to be one of my biggest supporters back at home in Chicago, or the Holy Land, as I like to call it. Not once did I ever think there would come a day when I could just pick up the phone and he'd be there on the other end. Knowing what you know now, I can tell you this. There's nothing much I wouldn't give to be able to go back to November 7th of 2021 and make one more phone call to him. You see, on November 8th, just before school started, I received the news that Ryan had killed himself. I did not want to believe that at first. It didn't make any sense. I thought the whole thing was a prank that maybe got taken too far, or the result of somebody recklessly running their mouth without thinking first. But that wasn't the case. Ryan was gone, he wasn't coming back, and my life would never be the same again. The next few weeks were a blur. Honestly, that might be for the best. I wouldn't wish the pain I felt since Ryan passing on anyone. I've spent God knows how much time replaying the time leading up to his suicide in my head. I've asked myself questions like, what signs did I miss? If I had just called that particular day, could I have changed his mind? If I had been there, could I have stopped him? I told you all at the beginning of the speech that I've never been comfortable with the unknowns. Yet answers to these questions represent unknowns that I'll have to live with for the rest of my life. But here are some things I do know. Ryan was one of the top 25 baseball players in the state of Illinois at the time of his death. He was one of the most talented baseball players it has ever been my honor to take the field with. And the day he committed to play for baseball for the University of Illinois, I couldn't tell you who was more excited, Ryan or his mom, whom he loved dearly. Ryan was the kind of friend you were always thankful for to have in your corner, not because of his athletic talent or the fact that he already managed to go viral on social media thanks to his ability, but because he was generally a kind human being who always looked out for others. He loved big, he laughed hard, and he never missed an opportunity to swing for the fence. I also know this. That version of Ryan I described to you just now is just a small glimpse of the person I got to call my best friend for all those years. But it was also just one version of Ryan. There was a second version of him, one that nobody, not even me, knew existed. If we're being honest here, I get it. Why would Ryan, with all his accolades and accomplishments, let anyone see how much he struggled and how much he hurt? Especially when he didn't acknowledge the severity of his own pain until it was too late. Everybody tends to want to focus on the life successes and try to ignore the majority of what life is actually made up of, the struggle. Growing up, my entire world revolved around baseball. There's nothing quite like that feeling when you get to hit the ball over the fence for the first time, or the butterflies in your stomach just before you take the field for a big game. It's the best game there, and I've always loved it since I can remember. Baseball has taught me many things over the years. how to be a part of the team, how to adapt, and how to think 2 steps ahead. But perhaps the most valuable lesson baseball taught me is how to struggle, and even at times, how to fail. Not everyone goes 4 for 4 with 4 home runs. Not everyone throws a complete game shutout. Not everyone drives in the game-winning run. Sometimes you might even strike out, but that's how you handle the strikeouts, the fielding errors, and all the other challenges that define you. Anybody can have a great attitude when everything is going their way. But those who can learn it to struggle, as I've heard Coach Kimry put it, struggle well. Those are the people who are going to make a positive difference in this world. In life, there will be days when you go 4 for 4 with 0 errors and virtually no hardship. I've had those days. Ryan's had those days. There will be also days where you go 0 for 4 and it feels like nothing that could possibly go wrong has. I've had those days. Ryan's had those days. The key is to never, ever give up, not on yourself and not on others. Baseball, much like life, is a team sport. When you fall short of perfection at the plate or on the field during the game, everybody sees it. Then what happens? Your team is there to pick you up. They remind you who you are, what you're capable of, and the next opportunity is coming. They remind you not to lose hope. I think we sometimes forget that in life, we have a team too. People who are there to remind you that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and the next opportunity is coming. Parents, grandparents, siblings, friends, teachers. I think most of all of us have those people in the corner. Those people who would do anything and everything to make sure that we are okay and we don't sit with our failures too long. We just need to be willing to let them. There's no way I can let this opportunity pass without taking a moment to thank those in my life, my team, if you will, for cheering me on, even when I've found hard times in myself. First, I would like to thank my mom for telling me to keep moving forward and never let negativity get in my way. My dad for sacrificing his lifestyle just to make sure I can become the best athlete I can. I'd like to thank my baseball brothers here and back home in the Holy Land for all the memories made along the way. I'd like to thank my teachers and friends here at Baylor for all they've done to help me be a better version of myself than I was before. I'm no way perfect, but perfection is not the goal. The goal is progress, and without all of you, all of the progress I've made up to this point would not be possible. And finally, I'd like to thank Ryan, who is watching over me and protecting me in everything I do. Confucius said, "We have 2 lives, and the second begins when we realize we only have one." As painful it was to lose Ryan, the one day I did was the day my second life really began. And I don't plan to waste a single day of it. I love you all. Thank you.